All right, let's get our meeting for November 9th, 2017 underway. We start, as always, with the pledge to the flag, and I'd ask Director Gould if he'd lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director. We'll start with the Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for cablecast on Metro Cable 14, replay on Saturday, November 11, 2017 at 12 noon, and Sunday, November 12, 2017 at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. Webcast is at www.sacmetrocable.tv. The open session meetings are also available for viewing on the district website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. Right now is the public opportunity to discuss matters of interest within the district's jurisdiction, whether or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
There are no speakers this evening.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the consent calendar. Do we have any questions on that?
In absence of questions, I move consent item.
A second.
I've got a motion and a second. Can we get the vote, please?
Director Gale.
Yes.
Gould.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Wood.
Abstain.
Motion passes.
Moving on, we have a presentation item. Assistant Chief Hine.
And good evening, President Wood, Directors, Chief Harms, Assistant Chief Randall Hine, Director of EMS. This evening, it's with great honor that I'm going to provide you with some information regarding a field save that was submitted by one of our members. They observed a crew that they felt did exceptional patient care and a efficient manner, and which resulted in an outstanding outcome. Give you a little detail. On September 4th, 2017, it was Engine 103 and Medic 102 arrived on scene of a 48-year-old male that was in cardiac arrest. The patient's stepson was performing CPR. When the crews arrived, upon assessment, the patient had no pulse and was not breathing. So CPR was continued by the responding crew. While CPR was being performed, the defibrillator pads were placed on the patient. He was shocked. Cardiac medications were provided. Then he was transported Code 3 to Mercy San Juan Hospital. We were happy to report that before the crew left the hospital, the patient was awake, was alert, and talking. The patient is now set to be transferred from Mercy San Juan to UCD within the week for some enhanced procedures that he'll undergo. But he states he's feeling fine and recovering well. One of our EMS captains, Captain Jim Novotny, had this to say about this specific event. That it's an event like this where early pre-hospital CPR accompanied with high-quality patient care can have such an important outcome. So at this point in time, I'd like to invite Fire Chief Harms to say a few words regarding this event.
Where's our crew at? Come on up. Come on up and then be here for a second. It's about you guys, not us. Oh, come on and stand by. No, I just, good moment. No, one of the things that I think is important, and you started to talk about it, and what I would brag about, is how that whole system comes together. And it starts off that someone accessed the 911 system. The dispatchers identify that this is the emergency, dispatch the appropriate response of folks into the system, and they give help over the phone to make sure that we're doing the CPR. And it's that first stop, and I know that the single roles and the EMS division has gone out and done that single hands-only CPR. But what I really think is important, and this is the showing of it, is how important our deployment model is that we have the engine companies that are there, how important it is to have the medic that is there, that response that happens within 5 minutes is that they're on scene. And then brag on this group here for, we did CPR in here the other day, and they talked a lot about the hospital. And that in the hospital, you have to have a team and you have to have a plan that's together. And it was kind of disappointing to me because on the front end of it, all they showed was, and no disrespect, it was just an ambulance with 2 guys, but they didn't show anything that happened. And Randy said it really quick, is that you show up, and as the captain being there, you assess the scene, you're the leader of the group, you make sure that it's safe. And I don't think that you had to probably give orders of what to do, is that everybody is trained and they know what their job is. And so somebody had to do CPR, somebody had to manage an airway, somebody had to put the pads on and be able to defibrillate. You had to be able to get IV access for medication. You package the patient, and then we bought it just a few years ago, is that you have the, I'll call it the thumper, but it is the Lucas device. The young guy over here will help me with it. Chief, we don't call it that anymore. And then you manage that patient from there to the appropriate facility, and then you do that transfer over. And part of it is, I think if you remove any of that, or if you guys are not able to work as a team, we don't accomplish the outcomes. I think it happens every day, but for most of them, when you ask them, hey, you did a really good job, they'll all say, it's just doing my job. It's what you pay us to do. But I think this is important to take the opportunity, say thank you to what you all do and what you all as members out there do every single day. So thank you guys, and congratulations for a great outcome of one of the people of our community.
Brenda, did you want the logo behind him? We can move.
Yeah. And our first.
Guys, come over here. The logo's behind you. Get out of the way.
Cheers, Tad. Un momento.
And as we just read off the names here, we have Captain Matt Stewart, we have Engineer Paramedic Bo Levesque, Firefighter Paramedic Brandon Richardson off of Engine 103, and Medic 102 is Paramedic Brayton Vanny and Paramedic Ryan Ramos. So it's with this peer recognition commendation for demonstrating exemplary patient care of the public that you serve. Congratulations to you all.
Work? You bet.
Good job, guys.
They
Excellent.
pushed him over. Thank you so much, Chief Hine. Appreciate that. And to whoever brought this up to our attention, it's wonderful. I've said it over the years, this is one of my favorite times, is being able to recognize our members for the job they do and members of the public when those come to our attention for the actions they do. It's great to see that. So thank you for taking the time to do this. Moving on to action items. We have one action item. Director Gould?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just want to make the public aware of the fact that tonight I'll be recusing myself from this conversation relative to this action item, since this particular action item deals with my primary employer. Thank you.
Thank you. Assistant Chief Hine, once again, and Captain, I don't want to mispronounce your name.
Savani.
Savani, thank you. Captain Savani and Chief Hine.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Board President Wood, fellow Board of Directors, Fire Chief Harms, and the rest of the Metro Fire staff that are here today, members of the public, thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity to talk about this. The EMS division is very, very excited about being able to bring this proposal to you. We've been working on it for quite a long time, and we feel it has a lot of benefits for both the employee and for the district we serve. So we're excited. So thank you very much. So what we'll be talking about tonight, very briefly, is a proposed partnership for paramedic training between Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District and American River College. So the intent is to basically provide paramedic training for our currently employed EMTs, whether they're in the single role rank or the suppression rank. So let's go over some of the benefits, the keys. We are excited to offer a linear pathway for our employees, meaning if we hire an EMT to work in the single role paramedic program, we basically provide them a sponsored position at American River College, up to 12 potential sponsored positions that they would attend class while concurrently working full-time as a single role EMT. Yet they would have the paramedics in the stations when they're at work to help reinforce some of the things they're learning at school. So while they work full-time, they essentially get that continual feedback and being able to bounce ideas off of fellow experienced paramedics. In the end, after they are done and they're paramedics, it provides additional paramedic staffing for both the single role paramedic program and ultimately fire suppression should they choose to move over. I'm going to go over the design of it real quick. So class starts every January, calendar year at American River College, goes for roughly 12 months. They have an intensive 5-month program where they're in school 3 days a week, again, while working concurrently. They go to a clinical session for several months over the summer, and then they do their field training in the fall. After working, and this is kind of the crux of the proposal, after working for 1 year as a licensed paramedic here at Metro Fire, whether it be at single role or whether it's in the suppression side, they would be then eligible for reimbursement for the costs of the training that they received at American River College. Ultimately, we feel this program would cultivate significantly increased mentorship and cooperation between the two ranks. There's no doubt it would provide an opportunity for both the single role and the fire suppression side to work together to help kind of groom our own, so to speak. The fiscal impact. So let's talk about the numbers. The tuition is $1,518. That's for 33 units of class spread over 12 months. Textbooks, and these are approximate, some of these smaller ones. The textbooks are approximately $600. Uniform polo shirt is $20. The parking passes. The student data tracking software, that is a record management system essentially for the paramedic students to help them track their patient assessments, their IV attempts, et cetera. So it basically allows them to track everything they're doing while they're in school. The grand total then comes to $2,383 per student. You may have noticed in the brief ahead of time, the initial proposal is talking about 12 spots at $3,000 each. The reason for the disparity is first of all, these are worst case scenario. This is if, for example, the student doesn't qualify for a BOG waiver or something like that. And we do anticipate potentially tuition hikes and such at American River. And the books prices, et cetera, can go up. So we're trying to just insulate that for the next couple of years. All right, so a quick timeline or an example of how this would go. So right now, we actually do have 5 single-role EMTs that would be eligible to begin this program in 2 months, January 2018, at American River College. Again, they would do the 5 months of classroom time. They would move into the clinical time over the summer. And then in the fall, they would be trained by Metro Fire-specific field training officers that they've been working alongside for the last 12 months. We do anticipate, through the use of multiple single-role academies next year, that we'll be able to fill all 12 spots by January of 2019. So it would be 5 this coming January, and then we do intend to have full 12, if it passes, which we hope it does, in the following January. And then I'd just like to finish this with a quick personal statement. In 2002, I was fortunate enough to be hired here at Metro Fire as an EMT. I was in the very first paramedic internship program that was offered by Metro Fire, started, and I was in it in 2002 and 2003. I was very, very fortunate to be a part of that. while this is not the same thing, it's certainly a revised version. Obviously, economics are different now. But I know I can speak on behalf of the 12 folks that I went through with when I say will always feel internally indebted to Metro for what they did for me and for my family and for our careers. They really put us through and helped us through. And I think the loyalty, it was there from day one because of that. And I have no doubt that that would be the same for these folks that we helped sponsor through class. And it's not just, so we had 12 folks in my initial class. 10 are still here. 7 are captains, including myself as an EMS captain. Did I introduce myself? I don't think I did. I forgot. I'm JP Savani, Metro Fire EMS captain. Okay, I'll keep going. My fellow peer, EMS Captain John Davis, he was in the 2nd paramedic class, right behind me in 2004. That 15 folks that we sponsored, 14 are still here. 11 have since promoted to upper ranks. There's certainly a pattern of loyalty and a dedication to this district, and I think that's what we're all looking for. And so with that, we make a recommendation. The staff recommends that the Board of Directors approve the proposed program and the attached resolution. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Captain Savani. Any questions for the captain? Director Barnes.
Thank you very much. I like the idea of recruitment and retention is also a key to keep the stream going. Question for your selection process.
Sure.
You mentioned, what is that? Just a ballpark description, if you could, of what that selection process is for the candidates.
Sure, absolutely. And so just to make sure I'm clear, in case I wasn't before, it would be available to both single role EMTs and firefighter EMT rank as well. So not just single role, it's available to suppression side. And at this point, we are identifying seniority-based process to move over, basically, so who's ever been here the longest, and we kind of move them through in that order.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for the captain? No? Outstanding. Appreciate it. We have a recommendation from staff.
Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation or make a motion, we adopt staff recommendation.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. Can we get the call, please?
Director Gale.
Yes.
Director Barnes.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Wood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much, Captain.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a quick comment that this was a very important issue for me back in the year 2000 when Metro still had not yet officially come into existence. And I am so glad to hear that the intentions behind the paramedic training have now come full circle. With the 7, the 14, the percentages are really good, that fulfills one of the huge issues, the reasons why we wanted to push the paramedic program, to train our own, to build our own, and to help establish that loyalty relationship. And I am so glad to hear that. Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Director. Our next action item is going to be tabled till after closed session, so we'll move on to reports. President's report, I have nothing, although I do want to thank Director Barnes for filling in last meeting, so thank you. Fire Chief's report, Chief Harms.
Good evening, board members. Since our last meeting, unfortunately, I have some sad news to start off with. Chief Jim Emerson, who was the fire chief for the Sac County Fire Protection District, passed away. They had a ceremony for him yesterday. He started with Citrus Heights as an administrative assistant in 1988. He moved up the ranks on the human resource manager in the 1990s and retired as the fire chief for Sacramento County Fire Protection District in January 31st of 2000. I would ask, as we close this meeting tonight, we would have a moment of silence for Jim. A couple of retirements. Mita Angelis, for 5 years as an accounting specialist, retired, and Captain Michael Bradford, with 30 years of experience, retired on November 2nd. It's going to be kind of a push here at the end of the year. We have a number of members that have been kind of on the edge of retiring that have turned in their paperwork, so we'll have definitely some more of those. That led to a promotion of Captain Matt Oston. Was officially promoted on the 14th. We had a meeting the other day, and it was a fun time that Tyler Wagman brought him up, and announced his promotion and also gave him his station assignment that he starts next set at. We've done some movement. Congratulations to Battalion Chief Adam House. He put his name in and was selected to be the Temporary Training Division BC, and that will start on Monday. He'll be over there. We've got some opportunities at EMS for a shift captain and a day captain that's out right now. We've had a number of meetings with staff as usual. We had our first quarter budget review that Amanda ran us through the other day. We had a meeting of the exec staff of the district along with the exec staff from the city to keep our relationship. And also we had our first 10 meetings district-wide with the membership. And our goal is twice a year to meet with every member within the district. And so myself, along with the exec staff, are doing 4 meetings a day. And we ended last time with the fleet and the admin staff, and this time we started with the fleet and the admin staff and spending some time sitting and talking. And we have a list of items, and they have a list of items that they bring that we sit down and talk about. The 2x2 meeting with Citrus Heights on the 15th is going to be canceled. Their 2 board members will not be available, so we'll get that rescheduled. We have a promotional ceremony coming up on November 30th at 5:30 here at headquarters. Saturday is the Dean Baker Crab Feed, so I hope everybody is, if they're able to attend, I hope to see you there. And then I know there's been quite a few comments about this stylish mustache that I'm bringing in.
Well,
And
stylish is a push.
stylish, yes, very stylish. Thank you. And it's all for Movember, and that is for men's health and cancer, and for mental health awareness. So we have a team. It's called Team Metro, and I believe when I looked at it last time, there was probably about 30 or 35 people that were signed up underneath it. My goal is to just stay out in front of the president of 522 as far as the money that I was able to have on there. So if you happen to go on there and look, Team Metro, Chief Harms, that would be mine there. That's the end of my report, unless you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Chief. Do we have any questions for the chief?
Mr. President, I have one.
Director.
Chief Holmes, in Division 1, I've had some conversations that with the members of that district that maybe we could invite you into the district so they can become acquainted with you. And for some strange reason, they don't show up for board meetings. And I'm hoping that at the next board meeting, I'll have at least 100 people coming. I've been passing out flyers and let them see how our district work and how well we do the people's business.
Good. I look forward to that. Remember, we don't have a second meeting this month. It'll be the first meeting in December.
Of course.
And then I've had a few trips out there, did some station visits and did some community stuff. And a great bunch of people, and very interested in the community. And what I saw from them is that they're just very supportive of the district. Very positive stuff.
You know, I lived there in my same place since some 40-some years plus, school boards and what have you. But I haven't got into calls yet from anybody. My home is always open. Come by. I don't teach every day, once in a while, but I would like to see that input from that. This is their business to be taken to, and I like for people to participate in this kind of endeavor.
We'll look forward to them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chief. Moving on to Operations Report, Assistant Chief Wagaman. Welcome.
Good evening, President Wood, Directors, and Chief Harms. Tyler Wagaman, Assistant Chief of Operations, filling in for Deputy Chief Bridge this evening. And I have before you our operations report. Since our last board meeting on October 22nd, the Metro Fire has run 3,618 calls, 6 of which were structure fires with 18 grass fires, 2,605 medical incidents with a transport rate of 96%, with AMR responding to 297 of those calls with a transport rate of 65%.
Hospital wall times continue to improve across our region. In fact, Mercy San Juan hospital wall times, which have historically been some of the highest out of the 11 regional hospitals, are now among the lowest this month. So that's good news for all of us. However, we do anticipate hospital wall times increasing as we enter into our 5th season, and that's flu season. On Sunday, we'll be sending 19 of our employees to Texas to participate in a grant-funded foam training class. This training will focus specifically on bulk fuel storage firefighting. Considering we have several of these types of facilities not only in our jurisdiction but in our region, we truly believe this will be valued training for Metro Fire. That concludes our operations report, unless you have any questions for me.
Do you have any questions for Chief Wagaman?
You know where I'm going, huh?
Director?
Could we just review again the total number of EMS calls
Total number of EMS calls,
since our last meeting?
2,605 of EMS calls.
And the transport ratio this time was?
69% for Metro.
69%?
Yes. What did I say, 96?
You did. And
I
was
wish
thinking,
it were
man,
96%.
buy a new fire truck. It's okay, I just wanted to confirm that it hadn't. Okay. It's only 3 people we didn't take to the hospital. That's pretty good.
He just
Okay,
did that to see if
right?
you guys were paying attention or not.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Test, you passed.
Thanks so much, Chief. Moving on to committee and delegate reports, there is no executive committee report, so the Comm Center JPA with Assistant Chief Johnson.
Good evening, Directors, Chief Arms. Our last meeting was on October 31st, where we discussed the process by which we will replace our retiring Chief Executive Director. That's it.
Thank you. I skipped, before we move on, I did skip 522, and I don't mean any disrespect to you guys, but 522, welcome.
Good evening, Directors, Chief Arms, Trevor Jameson, soon to be Metro's VP, about not quite 2 months. I just want to report, last week we went down to the CalJack conference, myself, future President, 522, Ty Bailey, and Directors Barsdale and Condit. Also was down there with Chief Bridge, Chief House, and Captain Mitchell. It was a great event. It was a good labor management event. Really showed what cooperation can do going forward. Some of the topics were behavioral health, which is, we know it's on the forefront. We talk about it a lot. It's coming more and more. But it was just a great event, again, to go down there and kind of spend some time, almost like a retreat, and get to know what's going on in the future and where we can go as a labor management cooperation. So that's about it, unless you have any questions for me. But I look forward to attending these meetings and getting to know all of you very well. And that's it, unless you have any questions.
Any questions from the board? Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Back to committee and delegate reports. The California Fire and Rescue Training JPA, Director Kelly is absent. So move
Director
on.
Wood, if I can just jump in real quick there, one of the things I'd like to announce is that this past week, we received certification for the Zinfandel site. And that
Excellent.
has been about 5 years. And we were able to work with OES and finish it off and receive certification so that a number of classes will now be able to be offered out there, and the student will receive certification from attending that and through the JPA moving forward. We look forward to 2018.
Outstanding. Thank you for that, Chief. Appreciate the update. Director Sheets, Finance and Audit Committee.
Our next meeting is Thursday, December 14th, here in these chambers, and time is to be determined.
And the Policy Committee, Director Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Policy Committee met this evening and moved 2 policies to the consideration of the full board in our next regularly scheduled meeting. The first policy that will be moved and voted on by that body will be the Firefighter Bill of Rights policy that's been updated to align itself with state regulation that's been achieved. The second policy that will be moved forward for full consideration is the capital asset policy, and there'll be some very minor language change from what we approved tonight to what you see at the time of full vote. And we had that conversation tonight and voted unanimously in both of those to move them to the full board for consideration. The next meeting of that esteemed body of policy wonks will be sometime in 2018.
Outstanding. Thank you, Director. Moving on now to board member questions and comments. I'll start to the right with Director Gale.
I have nothing.
Moving over to the left with Director Clark.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Trevor Jameson and Ty Bailey on their election. I'm sure they're going to, especially Ty, I know I'm very familiar with Ty, that they will provide good leadership to Local 522. So congratulations.
Director Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This evening, as I recused myself, I wanted to come back into this body and thank my colleagues for making the decision that they made tonight to align with a community college. I think that's key in the term, that it's a community-based college, and that also what we're really doing is we're also providing a pathway for these individuals to become college educated. One of the things that I'm very proud of this institution is that we have lots of college-educated folks, and what that does is it elevates the conversation in our community as these individuals receive that education, some of which may be the first-time college graduates of their families. And then one other thing, the governor in his wisdom saw it such that coming in 2018-19, community college has the potential to become free. And that will mean that a full-time student attending our community colleges will get to go through that education free. And so with that, I think it's important to understand that the numbers you saw tonight, as the captain mentioned, are really some of the most highest levels of cost that will be associated with this. But more importantly, we're starting these young people out on pathways that end in college education and college degrees. And I know that this organization is also starting in partnerships with us at the college in high schools. So if you think about what you did tonight, is you're actually saying yes to them starting in their 8th or 9th grade and having a guided pathway all the way to a college degree. And Metro Fire will be intimately involved in all the steps of that process. What a wonderful thing for those that are less fortunate than probably most of us sitting here, where we had parents that could afford college. And so I'm really proud of my colleagues tonight, and particularly the work of the EMS division for the work that they did in aligning this project. And we very much look forward to supporting it full-heartedly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director. Director, yes.
We're still open for comments.
We've moved on, but quickly.
Very short one. At one time in this country, as being a teacher, my mother was a teacher, grandmother also, they were called junior colleges and manual colleges. Companies like Ford Motor Company had the same program that we have now. I'm so proud of that with junior college. Mr. Henry Ford, General Motors, and I think Caterpillar Company had that apprentice type program. Something we tend to try to reinvent. It was there for us to use, but I'm glad that we were smart enough to recognize that connection there, because everybody not, going to get a bachelor's or Phi Beta Kappa or what have you. But I'm proud of that move that we have taken, extremely much so.
Outstanding. Thank you, Director.
You bet.
Director Sheets.
I just wanted to thank the members for the field save. That is awesome to hear stories like that, and that the gentleman is doing well and is getting the higher level of care at UC Davis, and hopefully he'll be able to maybe come to one of these meetings. It'd be really amazing to meet him. And thank you for the presentation items. So excited about the chance for our recruitment and members staying within our organization and moving up in the ranks. It was very great to hear that. And congratulate the retirees. Godspeed to them.
Thank you. Director Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to say thank you to Melissa Bonilla, our board clerk, for arranging the attendance of Director Sheets, myself, and as well as members of senior staff at the Metro Chamber sponsored State of the County address luncheon. And it was a very good reception luncheon, speech by one of the EOs for Alaska Airlines, et cetera. An excellent opportunity for networking, and I very much appreciate that both of us as directors were able to put a face on Metro Fire. That worked out very, very well. Congratulations for the training certification. OMG, that is great. We're going to be moving forward on that, and I'm just tickled pink that we got that. It's excellent. I'm glad that's completed. Congratulations to the retirees, promotees, as well as Ty and Trevor for winning the election. Congratulations, best wishes. And I would also like to say thank you to Chief Shannon and Shay Purcell, Maria Bernal, and Aaron Castleberry. We met today on some potential grant opportunities for Metro Fire, and I very much appreciate their participation. And as soon as we get any more updates, I'll be glad to share them with you.
Thank you very much, Director. Director Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only thing I have this evening is everything my colleagues have said to echo all the great work. Keep moving this organization into the next first class, as I say, continue the first class organization as we move on, especially with connection to that education. That's huge. Recruitment and retention is what's going to keep our members from going elsewhere. But most importantly, we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and as we always talk about, our members have to be at work while they're away from their families. So please, everybody keep them in their thoughts and prayers as they provide safety to the public on a day that should be where every family member is together and being thankful. So for everybody that'll be out there serving on the front lines, thank you from the bottom of my heart, my family's heart, for keeping everybody safe. So thank you.
Thank you, Director. And I don't have a whole lot more that I can say that hasn't already been so eloquently said, although I do want to just make note that with Zinfandel in my backyard, and I do hear a lot about when is that going to be done. I'm glad to hear that we are taking some significant steps to be moving forward on that. And again, congratulations to Ty, to Trevor Jameson. Look forward to working with you guys over the next couple of years. So thank you. With that, we'll move into closed session. For those following at home, item number 1 has been removed, so we'll only be dealing with items 2 and 3 on the closed session agenda. And when we come back out, I hope I don't see any of your faces. Thank you. Do you mind reporting out, please?
Yes, Director Wood, the board met in closed session regarding agenda item number 2, civil litigation, Town and Country West versus County of Sacramento et al. No action was taken. The board met in closed session with respect to the industrial disability retirement of Jeffrey Dornbush. No action was taken in closed session. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. We're moving back to action item number 2, the industrial disability retirement of Jeffrey Dornbush. We have staff recommendation.
Mr. Chair, I move staff recommendation.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. Can we get the vote, please?
Director Gale.
Yes.
Gould.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Wood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. With that, we bring our meeting to an end. Our next board meeting will be December 14, 2017 at 6 o'clock in this chamber. We are going to close as requested with a moment of silence for the passing of Chief Jim Emerson.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Let's go ahead.